It's time for a reality check.
We're here to deconstruct health and fitness trends and provide tangible advice so you can become 1% better with each choice starting today.
Welcome back to Reality Check. We are your hosts, Jess and Jill, and we pivoted today, which I feel like people always end up being very receptive to the episodes that we do like this, where we just really have something on our mind and things that we want to talk about and get it out. So I wouldn't say it's a totally unhinged podcast episode, but I think this will be really helpful. And there were a couple things driving this topic. I guess metabolism is kind of at the root of this, but the PCOS to PMOS change, which if you don't know what that means, we'll explain it. Basically, PCOS was renamed to PMOS, and I think that's cool in terms of what they changed it to, because it gives more clarity on what that level of dysfunction actually is, because PCOS stands for polycystic ovary syndrome, but it's been renamed to Polyendocrine Metabolic Ovarian Syndrome. And at the end of the day, this is endocrine dysfunction, systemic dysfunction, metabolic dysfunction. So the naming convention now makes a lot more sense for what women are experiencing. However, the dilemma and the problem, two problems we have here, I'll let Jess speak on kind of where we met in the middle on this, but the issue is that it's still diagnosed by the same criteria, which I don't love. And that still doesn't help women get help. So I think it's a step in the right direction for women's health, but it's kind of a baby step. The other thing is not to be skeptical or tinfoil.
I'm skeptical. I am.
Yeah.
I'm full conspiracy. And again, I don't think that the providers have anything to do with this. I think providers, I think medical doctors, I think endocrinologists, women's health doctors are all out there trying to help women. I very strongly believe that. However, I think the system at large is very much money and pharmaceutical driven. So I personally think that this is a shift of, oh, yay, if we call it metabolic, then we can get more people to take GLPs because that helps them lose weight. And that's a metabolic thing. And that's related, right? I've had so many clients come to me saying like, oh yeah, my metabolism is so much better since I started on Ozempic or whatever. And it's like, whoa. That actually isn't improving your metabolism at a deep level. Just like a lot of people think, oh, well, I was insulin resistant, so now this fixed all my problems. Now now I'm more insulin sensitive. Yes, you may be more insulin sensitive because of losing body fat. However, what is the long-term metabolic adaptation that is taking place? This is not a metabolic drug in itself to optimize your metabolism or to make your metabolism speed up or more robust. So I personally feel like this is a very convenient change in order to push more pharmaceutical treatments to help symptoms rather than help upstream the things that created the metabolic dysfunction to begin with.
Right. So if, birth control is often used as a form of treatment, I wouldn't say always a first line of defense, but I would say it's very common for symptoms associated with PCOS and similar conditions. And then something like metformin, like those things have a time and a place, right? Like, for example, if you have absolutely debilitating cycles where like it's hard for you to go to work for a couple days a month, then yeah, maybe birth control is added in while we figure out how do we get here, like what the problem is, right? So that's really my issue is I think what's often used as the first line of defense for addressing the problem is just to mitigate symptoms. And then it kind of stops there. And that's really the criteria, right? Did we minimize the symptoms you're dealing with? Cool. And then now we have birth control that maybe got rid of or minimized some of your PMS symptoms. But to Jess's point, maybe insulin is still driving up, right? And there's resistance developing, or there's these other metabolic issues that now we're just going to sit and wait for them to progress and then insert another diagnosis and another form of symptom treatment, right? So it's like, where does the cycle end? And that's really
it's not only a Band-Aid, it also there could be long-term metabolic adaptations that actually drive you away from your goals. And we don't just see this with birth control, like hormonal birth control. We also see it with thyroid medication. We see it with antidepressants all the time, where it's like, great, there is a time and a place for all of these tools, and they're very helpful with whatever that short-term symptom management is. And sometimes that's really needed. However, do you know, and have you been educated by your provider on what the long-term trickle-down effects are on your body from being on these things long-term? It's honestly like me being on Benadryl. This is the dumbest thing ever now, knowing what I know now. But like, I have very bad seasonal allergies. Better when I protect my sleep and immune system, right? But I was taking to the point where I was on Zyrtec daily, and I was taking Benadryl, 2 Benadryls like twice a day for a couple years. And somebody was like, what the heck are you doing? That's so unhealthy. And then I started looking into it, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at these long-term effects. Well, I didn't know at the time when I was like 18 and like I'm in college just trying to manage my daily allergies, not sneeze as much in class. So we want to educate you guys and also empower you to do research and figure out for yourself what are the long-term adaptations, not just of medications, but of any choices that I put in my body now. So metabolism wise, this ties in also to what we do, even from a physique standpoint with our clients. So like, anybody could lose weight if they cut their calories low enough, right? But long term, if you're not maintaining your muscle mass and eating enough protein, the rebound from that is your metabolism is going to be even slower than when you started, right? So we always encourage that, hey, whether we're trying to build muscle or lose weight, we are strength training and we're eating plenty of protein to maintain that metabolic long-term adaptation that's going to help you keep the result you want. So we're not just thinking, oh, what's the fastest way to get to this short-term outcome? We're thinking, how does the body adapt so that you can maintain health for your life?
Yeah. And, through all of this and what we do and how Fueled has even evolved as a company and as a service and how we help women, I think that my personal experience with functional medicine was a huge catalyst in this evolution, but I really appreciate whether somebody is super symptomatic or just genuinely wants to optimize their health. I don't think there's anything wrong with running labs and getting that specific information, because you could feel good, but maybe you have really low vitamin D, which is a precursor to other functions, and we want to fix that, right? So that's an easy gap to fill. Is your vitamin D low because it's genuinely low and you don't get enough sunshine and we need circadian rhythm support? Or do you have low stomach acid where you don't absorb nutrients as well, even when they're coming in, and vitamin D is low because you're not getting it elsewhere, right? So I still love that concept, but really, at the end of the day, to Jess's point, it's interesting because I think there's a lot of shade thrown at functional medicine, and it's fully justified in a lot of scenarios because there are a lot of functional medicine doctors and functional programs and naturopaths that just charge a shit ton for labs and then give you a bunch of supplements and send you on your way and say, this will solve your problems. But then we're leaving out the most important part, which is, are you eating enough? What does your food quality look like? Are you going to the gym and working out and lifting weights? Are you getting enough
sleep? Are you eating inflammatory things and alcohol constantly while taking these supplements? If a functional provider does that, absent of the lifestyle choices, it's really no different. Like, okay, they're natural supplements. It's really no different than just getting on a pharmaceutical, right? It's like, oh, great, I'm fixing the short-term symptoms, but we're still not healing the body in a deeper level so that we can produce long-term outcomes. So both really need to go hand in hand. And this is really an important message for us because we do look at people's labs and recommend deep protocols with lots of supplements. So it's very, like, we really, really try to make clear to our clients that these changes will not be sustained unless we are also really consistent with the basics of, are we lifting weights 2 to 4 times a week with intensity? And I don't mean intensity like you're breaking a sweat, but are you progressing over time in your strength? Are we eating plenty of proteins? Are we eating fruits and vegetables and things that are rich in vitamins and minerals? Are we recovering? Are we getting sleep? Are we eating more than 2,000 calories for most of the year? All of these things are absolutely critical in maintaining metabolic health, period. And the metabolic health now encompasses all these different possible chronic illnesses and diseases and things that could go wrong when you don't take care of your metabolism.
Yeah. So I think that that's really what is most meaningful to us, and what I think is so incredibly valuable for the work that we personally do, because I want to give you the labs and want to help you optimize. Gut health is so important to me, but you just living a better quality of life and changing your inputs and your behaviors and optimizing your lifestyle is ultimately what's most important for your health long term. And we'll take you through these advanced protocols, right? But at the end of the day, so many women have been in a place of dysfunction and running on fumes for years or most of their adult life. And then so often come in and wonder, why do I not feel better? I'm not fully healed. I haven't lost all 30, 40 pounds, whatever it is that the goal is, in a matter of 90 days or 6 months even. That is so unrealistic. You have been driving your body into the ground for years. There are so many adaptations in place right now, things that your body is used to, even if it's not good for you. We have to not only unravel that from a health perspective, but also from a behavioral perspective, as well as a belief perspective and a psychological perspective of what you deem healthy or what you deem normal or what is just automatic for you in your life because you've been doing it for so long. And I think there's a lot to unpack, and everyone's timeline for that is different. And sometimes when we make those changes, we expect, well, I'm doing something hard and I'm putting in this effort, I should get a result. And the problem often with that is that what you expect the result to be isn't aligned with the behavior change you made. So if you're sleeping 8 hours and your circadian rhythm is regular and you've minimized your stress and you're lifting 3 days a week, that's beautiful, right? But those inputs take time to produce a measurable result. Not to mention, so many people often think, well, I've been eating healthy for 14 days. I don't understand why the scale hasn't gone down. And it's like, hello, that is actually a psychological thing that we have to address, because your belief is not reality. Just because that's what you want doesn't mean that is the outcome of the changes and the inputs that you've made. So I think that's another really, really overlooked piece of coaching, good coaching, is that I don't expect you to know those things when you come in. You're going to have a fucking mentee B in a check-in or two until I help you see, hey, this
mentee B means mental breakdown for those of you who aren't cool like me.
When you make those changes, that's our job as coaches, to give you the expectation of, when you make this change, this is what you can expect. And this is what the overall timeline looks like. And honestly, sometimes I want to bang my head through the wall, not because of clients, but because of the messages on social media, setting the expectation that, oh, magic can happen in this time frame. And guess what? It can, if you are perfect. I could give you a list of inputs right now of everything you could do that would significantly improve and evolve your physique and your health. But can you stick to that realistically, right? Because when somebody comes into our program, we're looking at this human and the way that they live their life and meeting them where they're at right now. Somebody could come in eating 800 calories, 40 grams of protein, smoking cigarettes every day, and going to bed at 11, but waking up 4 times. Do you think I'm talking to that person immediately about lifting 4 days a week and eating fucking 30 grams of fiber a day? Absolutely not, right? Like, we have other fish to fry and bigger rocks to move first. So you have to be self-aware enough to know, okay, these are the things that you need to improve first, and that it's gonna fucking take time, right? And
we're educating you on what are those big rocks, right? We don't expect you to know. Again, a lot of people are working really hard doing the wrong things because they've been conditioned by society that, oh, this is what I have to do to get healthy. I just have to eat really clean or get really skinny or whatever the thing is, right? So a lot of times you guys are working really hard, and then it's our job as coaches to educate. And I want to point this out because you are so good with your marketing and your social media, right? Jill will show, oh, well, this is how much inflammation I lost when I did this protocol, blah, 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 blah. When somebody comes in and has a conversation with us about starting with our coaching program, we are clear as day in, hey, expectations wise, this is going to take time. Most of our clients are with us between 14 and 18 months before they are at a place where they're like, wow, now we're going to wean off of tracking and start intuitively eating so that I can graduate from this coaching program. If somebody is starting in a way less healthy place, they might be with us for 2 years, 3 years, right? That is not uncommon for many of our clients that we work with. And then on top of that, it's like, okay, if you do everything perfect, maybe it's a 12 or 18-month transformation. But guess what? Life happens and you're busy and things pop up and then you move. And right. So at that point, our timelines, our inputs and our expectations just need to reflect reality, is my point. And again, a good coach will help guide you at those different seasons of life and say, hey, permission to not be in a deficit right now when it's the most stressful time of your life at work, right? Like, why don't we practice this other skill of health instead? That's our job as a coach then.
Yep, absolutely. So, moral of the story here is that at the end of the day, metabolic health and the most basic of inputs should be the priority, should be eating enough food, not endlessly dieting, getting enough food variety and nutrients in your body.
Real food, not just protein enriched and fiber enriched processed food, but actual whole foods, fruits, vegetables, meat, eggs, nuts, beans, right? Not just moving. Yes, moving. Movement is healthy, but also getting stronger progressively over time is going to improve all of your metabolic trickle downs and your longevity and your bone density. So lifting weights is one of those fundamentals. Getting enough sleep and recovery. If you're working out 6 days a week and you're like, I'm doing all the right things, I eat healthy and I work out 6 days a week. Okay, but like, when is your body adapting from those stress inputs if you don't have any recovery that's part of your plan? Recovery isn't a waste of time. It's an essential part of adaptation. So all of these basics that we talk about over and over on here are still at the core of what we need to do to stay healthy and get healthier with time for all of these different metabolic conditions. And then, okay, now we can work upstream for the specific things if further protocols are required.
Yep. And going back to something like PCOS to PMOS and just the landscape of the industry, this industry is rapidly growing and evolving. And again, it's a possible good step in the right direction to have this new name, but I think they're only pulling that lever, to Jess's point, with an ulterior motive. I hope that's not the case. But just knowing at the end of the day that every single person can be wildly in control of their own health. And I love what we do. And listen, sometimes you pay to get data and information and help with implementation and not have to guess your way through. And that's why I provide the service that I provide. And I think we do, as a team, an incredibly good job. I really, of course, any business owner is going to feel this way about their business, but I really don't think there is anyone else in the industry that goes into the depth that we do with holding your hand and the level of communication that we provide, and the labs and the behavior and the nutrition and the labs and the medical
strength training,
our physical therapists. Like, we really are trying to check every box possible. And I think so many functional programs on paper do a good job, but like, you're usually meeting with a coach or a provider every 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. And
they're handing you a plan. It's not coaching. It's really good protocols. They're handing you the protocol. You do it on your own. And then next month they say, okay, how are we feeling now? Now we're going to update the protocol. It's not like, this is a blend of coaching, metabolic coaching. We put a lot of thought into your workout programming, like all of these different skill sets into one service with weekly check-ins, is I don't think I've ever seen somebody who combines all of it. This is like this is now an unhinged topic that I'm going off of, but also in the same regard, of us letting like social media or big changes like this reshape our narratives. It's kind of ridiculous. And if you look historically at all of the popular trends, if you just follow the trends, at the end of the day, healthy inputs are healthy inputs. So like, 5 years ago, the body positivity movement was saying like, it doesn't matter if you have excess body fat, you're still healthy. now there's picture, literally like yesterday, a picture of Demi Moore at the Met Gala.
Oh, I saw this.
And it's showing like the New York Times is like, look at her toned arms. She looks anorexic. Like this is an unhealthy, malnourished body. And we're celebrating it, but out of convenience, right? Because 5 years ago, when it wasn't convenient to lose weight quickly, everybody was celebrating bigger bodies, right? The body is a reflection of inputs over time. And you could be horribly unhealthy in either direction. Just like you could be making really healthy choices in a body that is overly body fat right now, right? Like you may have weight to lose to optimize your health, but you still might be making really healthy choices day to day. Keep going. Just like somebody in a body that maybe appears more lean might be making unhealthy choices day to day.
They might be obsessed with their body and do toxic things to maintain that level of leanness. So I think that it's
in both cases,
right? There could be a snapshot in time that someone might perceive a body to be metabolically unhealthy, and maybe it is, but maybe they've also lost 40 pounds and are doing a really good job and making good progress. So
it might be way healthier than they were last year, and we need to look at that
silly.
person's inputs over time, not make snap judgments on any of this, and not celebrate the unhealthy version of skinny that we're seeing right now. And okay, like I feel like I've talked about this in the past. I don't know if I have on here, but like when I was in college, I was in an anatomy lab where we got to work with cadavers, right? I was working with this extremely obese man who he was in a wheelchair towards the end of his life. So he had super developed lats. And I thought it was so cool because you could see he's pulling all the time, right? His muscles are really developed, but his lower body was atrophied. When we cut into this man's midsection through lots and lots of layers of excess body fat, he has abs, right? Because all of us have muscle underneath. That's our structure that allows us to stand upright and to do things and to move. Just because Demi Moore or whoever else is so thin that you can see their muscle, that does not mean that they are healthy and have become toned. They have lost all the body fat that is protective and healthy for our hormones on top of said muscle that literally everybody has, but they're likely also atrophying some of that muscle to become that thin.
Yeah, it's just celebrating a body in any manner like that. I would rather celebrate how somebody feels and the things that they're doing to take care of themselves and their behaviors. And
feeling good is important. We want you to feel, again, we help women lose body fat and lose weight. So we're not demonizing that either. We just want, in either case, whether you're building muscle, whether you're losing body fat, whether you're just maintaining and you're like, I just want to focus on healthy choices. We want to, in any of those cases, encourage healthy choices. Actual health, not chasing the physique.
Yeah, and not to mention on the context of body composition and physique change, what I think is so beautiful about muscle is that it's so incredible for your health, but it is not something in this GLP quick fix mentality in the industry right now. You can't fake it. There's no shortcut to doing that. And that's what I think is so cool. And what I love about the gym so much is I think people often perceive it for some reason as a judgmental place. What I think about the gym and what is so cool is that there are people at completely different points in their journey, but everyone is in there for 30, 60, 90 minutes, literally just trying to be a little better than they were yesterday. Like, what a cool concept. And it's why I love gym and health communities like that so much, because I think it really just truly does drive you to be a better person, and why I think fitness and optimizing your health can be a gateway to success in other areas of your life and just better quality of life, because I think it's a door to improved health, improved confidence, feeling good, having the energy and the capacity to pursue other things in life. And like I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't do these things. And I just think it's a cool thing. But I think that at the end of the day, again, labs are so cool and I'm so passionate about it, but really we're going to use that data to optimize, and certainly in what I think a much more skilled way than an average coach. But we are not negating that the things that you did and the choices you made and the behaviors that you've been implementing for months or years or what drove you to a place of dysfunction. And that is always going to be what we have to address first, is our pillars and our foundation of, are you eating enough? Are you getting enough food quality and variety? Are you getting enough protein? How much do you sleep? Because that is so critical. Your stress, your lifting, right? Are you happy as a human? Do you fucking feel joy in your day? You know, like there's so much more value in that than these crazy biohacking tools. Like if you're not doing those things, you got to do the basics first. And it's funny, people like make posts throwing shades at like blue light blocking glasses or red light therapy. Those are incredible tools that give incredible value, right? Blue light blocking can be incredibly valuable and a super easy way to help regulate someone's circadian rhythm to improve your sleep pillar, right? So like throwing shade at that just like blows my fucking mind. Like, why are we not all supporting everyone getting healthy and that's it, right? Like that should be the goal among providers. So it's just interesting. There was just a little unhingedness from us that we felt like we needed to interrupt our lab series to get that off our chest. So and then going back to PCOS to PMOS, one final thing I want to say, because we talked about the diagnostic criteria and I want to make sure people understand this and are educated. So the criteria to meet for that diagnosis is important to understand. And there's what's called Rotterdam criteria, and you have to meet at least 2 of them to meet the diagnosis of PCOS and now PMOS. So it's any level of like irregular cycle, clinical or actual biochemical, meaning your labs are presenting with androgen or testosterone level of excess. And then actual polycystic ovaries on an ultrasound, or high AMH levels. AMH is anti-Müllerian hormone. So either one of those, that's kind of lumped into one of the criteria, but you only have to meet 2 of those, and that criteria is unchanged. So again, the driver of this conversation is understanding that this is not just a reproductive issue where you need to throw birth control at it or metformin at it, and something that you need to accept. We have to know that something is driving this excess androgen and these high testosterone levels. Something is driving this insulin resistance. Something is driving these changes in your body. I want you to get symptom relief and feel better, but I also want you to take control of your health on a metabolic level and know that I was diagnosed with PCOS in 2021. I'm good. I'm chilling. I don't have PMS. I never took medication for Hashimoto's. My thyroid levels are great and managed. My flaw in life is that I have too much blue light exposure. I sleep really well, but my cortisol levels suck. None of us are fucking perfect. You know, that's something I'm working on, but just knowing that.
We're just working on being perfect.
Yeah.
No big deal.
I knew what my drivers were of those things and how to address them. And that's really why we do what we do, and what we want to help everyone understand is that a diagnosis is not a sentence. That PCOS is not your identity. Hashimoto's is not your identity. There are behaviors and things you can change in your life that are super basic, super simple. It's what we talk about on every episode of this podcast. And we really just want to simplify health at the end of the day. So we will return to our lab series next week on the context of hormones, specifically sex hormones, blood work, Dutch test. What's the difference? What can we learn from that? I think you guys will love that episode, but we just had to get this off our chest this week. So we hope this was helpful to understand, and hopefully a breath of fresh air in a sea of very overwhelming and conflicting information and advice on the internet these days. So that is all for this episode, and we'll see you guys next time.